So today our discussion is about something that is in the media right now, where international students have studied, finished their completed studies, and they have received their completion letter, and eventually they apply for their work permits, and they are told, sorry, you are not getting your postgraduate work permit, and they get it rejected. That's very disheartening. Imagine spending 30 to 40K in tuition fee and then hearing this later. It is very, very disappointing. So let's look into what the issue is really and how this can be avoided. And this is something that everyone who is deciding to come into Canada as an international student really needs to look at before they even decide to come into Canada. Hi, welcome to Yoke's YouTube channel. I'm Liz Matthew, the regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Thanks for tuning in. This particular issue is mainly in Alberta, what is in the media, because a couple of Alberta colleges is going through that. But for years, this process has been there where postgraduate work permit is awarded to students who study in Canada as an international student. And it has been pretty much very straightforward. And what it is basically if you have graduated from an eligible designated learning institution and you meet the postgraduate work permit requirements, you could generally apply for an open work permit after you graduate. But beginning in the late 2024, IRCC introduced a major change. And that change was that for many non degree programs, such as the college diplomas, the certificates, and postgraduate certificates, the field of study now matters. And so the key points are that the field of study requirement applies to students who applied for a study permit on or after November 1st, 2024, and who are enrolled in non degree programs. So, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral graduate programs are generally exempt from this field of study requirement, and IRCC now links eligible field of study to Canada's labor market priorities. So that means eligible programs can change over time, which is very disheartening and disappointing when you begin a program, your program is eligible for postgraduate work permit, and later you find out. And so, what students are really worried about is many students they ask, what if my program was eligible when I started? And but IRCC changes the rules before I graduate. And this is a very reasonable question that a person could have. And the answer basically depends on which rule applies and when you applied for your study permit. And IRCC has created transitional protections for some of these changes. And for example, when IRCC updated the eligible field of study list in June 2025, it confirmed that students who applied for their study permit before June 25th, 2025 would remain eligible if their field of study was still eligible when they applied, even if their field was later removed from the list. But a few days later, what IRCC did was that they restored the fields and they had briefly been removed and clarified that those programs would continue to qualify until the next scheduled updates. Unlike all these social media rumors, IRCC has automatically made every student in a removed program ineligible. However, that's not the case. That doesn't mean that future rule changes will always include the same provisions. So each policy change will be reviewed on its own terms. That's what basically it is. It is not the same provisions all the time. And is this happening only to particularly Alberta? Because that's what is being said in the social media, that Alberta colleges are particularly going through this. But unfortunately, this is not only an issue in Alberta. The field of study rules are federal IRCC rules. It applies to all colleges in Canada. So this is what came up, and they apply across Canada. And what differs is that the program offered, the program CIP code, and whether that particular field is eligible. That's what really matters. And some colleges may continue advertising programs because they remain academically valid, even though students should independently verify their PGWP eligibility based on the current situation. So, this is why students should never assume if the college basically offers the program, I will automatically receive a PGWP. This is something that you shouldn't assume. Always verify it. And what can students protect themselves from? As I just said, some of the practical steps to verify is verify the college. So confirm that the institution is designated learning institution. There is the list of designated learning institutions on the IRCC website, and that its graduates are eligible for PGWP where applicable. It should say on the DLI list if that particular program is eligible for PGWP. And do not rely only on marketing materials. Go to the canada.ca website because that's the most reliable source that you're looking at, and verify the program CIP code. So, two programs with very similar names may have different CIP code, which is the classification of instructional program codes. So, only the specific CIP code determines whether the program meets the field of study requirements, whether applicable, and ask the college for written confirmation. Whatever they are confirming, have that in writing. And what is the exact CIP code? Is the program currently eligible for PGWP? And on what information is that statement based on? Have it all written down and keep copies of everything, as this will help you when you apply for your postgraduate work permit, as it's very much dependent on your study programs. Have your letter of acceptance, your tuition receipts, your college emails, your program description, screenshot showing eligibility information at the time you enrolled. And these records will be helpful if questions arise later. And monitor IRCC's updates. It's very important, as do not rely just on forums or groups that are posting these kind of information. Please be updated on IRCC's informations. And consider, when you decide to come into Canada, consider taking degree programs like bachelor's, master's, doctoral graduates are generally not subject to this field of study. And this does not mean that a degree is the right choice for everyone, but students comparing options should understand the different eligibility rules and seek professional help before you make that final move, or on deciding to transfer courses. Maybe after your first study course, you decide to take a second study course, transfer it to a different college. Check and see if that's a wise move. Is that going to hurt you? Things like that. And you might think these decisions are very minor, but this can even affect your eligibility. So please do make wise choices. And what if you're already studying? If you're already enrolled, don't really panic. Instead, confirm your study permit application date, your CIP code, check whether your program is currently eligible, review any transitional provisions that apply to your particular situation, and if needed, also get an advice from your college counselor. Have things in writing that your program is really eligible for postgraduate work permit. So Canada basically still remains a destination for international students. However, immigration rules keep changing on a regular basis. Always keep yourself updated about the immigration rule changes. Instead, research thoroughly and keep documentations, verify your program, and planning ahead can save you significant time, money, and stress. Have your language test done because that is your postgraduate work permit requirement, and don't leave things to the end just before, just after I graduate, I'll decide to go ahead and look at the program. But that's not something that you should leave to the end. Have your pathway planned. We are always here to help you out. If you find this video helpful, please do leave us a comment and let us know what kind of video you'd like to hear from us and what topics, and we are happy to help you out. See you all in the next video.